Although I'm a licensed professional counselor in the state of Texas, this podcast is not therapy and should not be used as therapeutic intervention. Many of the products and practices mentioned are for educational and informational purposes only. Should you need support, please seek appropriate, qualified, and licensed professionals. Hey y'all, welcome to Between a Hot Mess and a Therapist, the podcast where we navigate the murky waters between what society expects and what it means to truly live, embrace the messiness, the beautiful chaos of life, and celebrating the rebellion in the process. Whether you're a recent graduate, a seasoned therapist, or someone just curious, there's something here for everyone. But before we dive in, make sure you join the Hot Mess Rebellion community where you can connect to other like-minded souls. I'm your host, Shauna Lovin, a seasoned therapist and wellness educator with a very rebellious spirit. So grab your favorite beverage, get comfortable, and let's dive into today's rebellion. Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Between a Hot Mess and a Therapist. So let me tell you, I am sitting in my office and it's dark outside. I usually don't record at night, but here I am at a little after 9 recording this episode using my computer desktop for a light. Like, I know this is all against my energy, but I thought I'd take a minute and record because I normally do these when the family's at work and the kids are at school and I'm here by myself, but not today. So I just wanted to use this as the last episode of the year. This is episode number 32. So all my numerology folks, tell me what that means. I don't know. So let me know. But I wanted to just kind of recap for the year. I wanted to take a minute and be a little transparent about what's been going on. Where do I see myself? Kind of what's happening with the podcast and just everything that I'm doing. And just a minute to reflect. Because how can you move forward if you don't have a minute to reflect? I mean, just that's what it is. So I'm just going to say, like, this is pretty fitting because it comes on the heels of this election that we've had. I don't want to get political at all, but there's going to be a lot of changes. And, you know, I just noticed in the therapy community, there's a lot of people that lost their shit and for various reasons. And people have been more vocal about it than others. And I'm not going to get into all that because I'm going to always have a different view than most people because one, I'm a Black therapist. I'm a therapist and I'm Black. And two, I'm married to a cop who happens to be white. So if that doesn't say a lot of things, then I don't know what does. So just be mindful of your own mental health and your own self-care because when you're leaning too much into where other people are, that can really affect you. And I'm going to get into that in a little bit. But given that we're at this junction place, you know, I think this year for me and say my practice, and y'all know I still work full time. That ain't changing no time soon. But with my practice, there have been a lot of changes and I've seen ups and downs and I've really come to understand where I want to go as a clinician, as a supervisor, and where I'm trying to stay away from. I know some people may not be forthcoming about how they do things and when they practice, but I think I've been feeling this over time where I haven't wanted to do individual counseling. And I think this year alone, as I started working on myself earlier in this year to make sure that I was good and this wasn't coming from someplace else, you know, because we've gotten told so many messages that sometimes it's hard to decipher if this is your individual thoughts or feelings or does it come from someplace else? And so I've just really come to understand that I don't want to do individual therapy. Yes, I said it, and I'm probably sure somebody's going to come after me for that. The people that are in my world probably already know that. I know y'all are listening, but I've just made a decision like I'm just not going to do that anymore. Yes, I still have a few clients that are on that train, and I'm going to get them through to wherever they need to go and get them transitioned to maybe something a little bit different that I'm offering. But I'm not going to just kick them to the curb either. But I'm not taking on new individual people. Instead, I have a different vision of like what that actually looks like and how that helps. And I'll explain that later. But it's just when we take time to reflect, we understand kind of like where have we been and where we're trying to go. And that's all I'm saying. So I want you to make sure that you take time in the next couple of weeks to the end of the year. Y'all know I hate goal setting for January because it's stupid and doesn't make sense. And I have a whole thing behind that. I won't get into that. But that doesn't stop you from taking a moment to reflect. Okay. So given that we're in this crazy time and our mental health is definitely being impacted, and you see more people with like anxiety and depression and like all these things happening, I just want to keep in mind that you have to stay open-minded. You have to have your own thoughts. You have to think for yourself, because when you don't do that, you're thinking what someone else has told you to think and believe. Those things lead to burnout. Those things lead to other mental health issues. And no matter how you look at it, it is not healthy for you. You are not managing yourself and your energy when you are living by someone else's terms. So the other thing that came up is not just with me, but, other people that I'm seeing, is that when we have a poor usage of our energy because we're too busy doing what someone else told us to do, that leads to burnout. So it's not just thinking, like you have to think for yourself, but it's also what are you doing for yourself? And I know there's a difference between doing and being, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about, are you physically in a place where you are doing? So this comes up for me because if you know me, I really hate social media. I'm going to say it. And I am old enough to remember that there was a time where therapists did not advertise their business on social media. It was when I remember working in the doctor's office or IOP or wherever I was, I don't even know. And whoever was trying to get your business, the hospital, whoever, they would show up at your office with like a basket full of something. I don't know, some kind of treats, cookies, fruit, something, because they were just trying to win your business over. And I realized that as much as I hate social media, I need to bring that back. I need to start doing that for myself and for my practice. Now, I'm not saying that's not going to work for you, but what I see is I'm going to start doing things differently in 2025. I'm just saying. So the other thing that has come up is like hustling does not get you your dream life. This was huge for me this year because I really learned how to slow down, because, my growth in my practice has not been exactly where I would have liked it to be. And some of this I can contribute to that I was still maybe leaning into the box too much and not doing what I felt was good to me and my energy, and still trying to go after the hustle a little bit. Maybe it was that I needed to take a break and to make sure that I was good and work on myself, which I did the whole probably first half of the year easy. And I just realized seeing other people, when you're doing too much, that's not getting you to the dream that you want. It's just not. So now that I have slowed down, I see my dream very differently than I have before. Some things that I have learned is, now that I'm looking at my dream differently, I used to think like, I want this fire lifestyle. I don't know if you know what that is, but for a long time, I wanted a fire lifestyle. So basically, it's financial independence, retire early. I don't know what the heck I was retiring early from, being a therapist, but I had this idea of, this is what I wanted for my life or my family's life. And it's been really hard to attain that, because it's not just me. I have someone else, my husband, who has his own visions and goals and things like that. And sometimes the way I see things working out is not necessarily the way that he sees things working out. But in this year of slowing down, I have really come to enjoy freedom instead. And it's really freedom from everything. It's like freedom, it's incorporating freedom to like travel, to, it could be decluttering and minimizing your space, or it could be, what's your dream? Is it bigger? Is it, like, what is it? It's the freedom to just do whatever the heck you want to do. And I think now I'm more in a space of wanting to be just free, not fire. So, I mean, it's pretty cool to be fire, but it has other things kind of going for it. I also learned this year that my energy, so I've probably mentioned it before, but I am a 3/5 emotional projector, is just built different. I learned that I should not be working more than what I actually do. I should be working less, and I should be conserving my energy. I should be resting, and resting is not lazy, but I should be more on the lower end of things when it comes to how I should function. And that's just been huge, to start leaning in and living more of my design, because that has opened the door to how I just see things, how I see freedom. Just, it brings something totally different and new. I also learned in this slowdown part that my consistency does not look the same as everyone else's based upon my energy and my design. So I have some days where things are really good, and then other days not so much. It could be, how am I exerting my energy? It could be that I just needed to really listen to my body. It's a lot of reasons. But I have to be okay and comfortable with that. My consistency, if I continue to try, that is my consistency. And that's what I should be proud of, and giving myself grace for the effort that I am putting in, even though it looks different than what everyone tells you what your consistency should look like. Slowing down really has made business growth better. I really think that because I'm not in the box, and I just started doing things that I wanted to do, and was just like, hey, fuck you, I'm just going to do what Shauna wants to do, that I think I've started to see more growth in my business. And so it's not that you don't take pieces from here and there to make life and business work. It's that you do what feels good to you. That's just the bottom line. Just the bottom line. So what can you expect in 2025? So I just decided like, hey, we are going to continue this podcast. It was a great experiment and it's done well. But some things that I think you can look forward to is, so if you listen to my birthday episode, I was talking about how I'm definitely learning to wear my clothes. The difference between wearing my clothes and styling my clothes. I'm still working on that, but I'm really excited for that. So stay tuned to that. I might have some things there. On the podcast, I'm looking to bring in more guests. We're going deeper. We're going harder. We're doing this thing. And I have a few people that I had in mind to try to bring on as guests. Don't know when that's going to be, but we're going to do it. We're going to figure it out. And we're going to definitely talk more about human design, because I think it's so important on what has shaped me and my life in the last few years and how I've seen the changes and differences. And the more that I learn, the more that I can shift and change. Like the most recent thing that I learned in the last few weeks is something I heard before, but according to my design, I like caves. Like that is my environment that I thrive in. And then so I'm reading through like, well, how do you make your space a cave? And so realize that the way my desk sits in my office, it does not give that feeling. And if I turn my desk another way, I'm going to get the safety and security that my body needs because of the way my desk is sitting. And I was just like, man, that's crazy. So now I got to take all the pictures off the wall, put them back up, move the bookcases, just to move my desk. But that's here to come. If you're ever on live with me, you might see the difference in the coming time. So what else is changing? I am officially closing the Facebook group. So if you are a part of the Facebook group, there's a space that I'm going to be getting you to move to that is offline. But the reason why I am changing this and making this change is one, because I was listening to someone who told me that I should have this Facebook group. And against all better judgment and the way I was feeling and my energy, I did it anyway. To quickly find out it was too much. It was just too much. And my energy wasn't flowing. I started off good, okay, but it just was too much. And I need to go back to where I was and doing things the way that felt good to me. So I'm going to have whoever's in the Facebook group, y'all are going to move with me, and we're still going to continue this journey, but it's just going to look a little different. I also realized that I'm in too many places when it comes to social media. Like, I really hate social media, but I know that it helps. And so that is going to be kind of scaling back and looking different as well. Some other things is I decided that I can't just help one type of person. So I know I've traditionally worked with therapists. I know that I talk about other helping professions or healers. And so I think in 2025, I am really digging in to therapists, healers, helpers. Are you an attorney? Are you a teacher? Are you a doctor or a nurse? Are you somebody that your job is to help someone else in some kind of way? First responders, y'all too. Dispatchers, y'all too. Is your job helping someone else? Those are the people that I am going to work extra hard at attracting into this world over here. And the reason for that is because I realize that those people outside of therapists who are also healers and helpers, they have the same issues that therapists do. And so I am creating, or have been working on creating, this community where everyone can come into this community. We can talk about the same things, and then maybe start having things that kind of dip off that help specific avenues, lanes. Of course, there's always going to be something for therapists, but overall, it is by far, I think, important that we all work on our burnout, our secondary trauma, and our compassion fatigue, and then giving ourselves grace. But it's like, how do you do that without the same old run of the mill? That's kind of where I come in, and I'm going to help you with that. So that's the one thing that's going to change, So some other things is, how do we know what self-care things or activities we should be doing? That's what 2025 is going to be all about, is digging into your human design and then helping you figure out what things are good for you based upon your energy. That's what 2025 is all about. So I definitely want this new membership, or kind of revamped membership, to be, I want you to feel confident. I want you to be intentional about your self-care. I want to create like an amazing community. And I think ultimately all of that is going to lead to like some kind of retreat. Like, We just need to get together in person, because being online is great and it works. But I think figuring out a way to be in person, I think would be even amazing thing to do. So if you've been on this journey with me, I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate you. I really appreciate the feedback that I do get. People are saying that I'm bringing definitely more thought-provoking topics, and I definitely want to continue that next year. If you have something that you want to hear about specifically, make sure you drop me a line, fill out the form, send me a DM, something, smoke signals, whatever you need to do. I want you to do that so that I can make sure that I put it on the list to kind of have a chat about. So here are a few questions that I'm going to leave you. What was one thing that you crushed this year? What was one thing that you totally bombed, but it taught you something? And then what's one thing that you're going to leave behind in 2024? I'd love to hear. Make sure you take some time to reflect on your thoughts, write them down, and then come join me somewhere on social media or send me a DM or something and let me know what answers you have to those questions. So, signing off for season 1 of Between a Hot Mess and a Therapist. Until next time. Thanks for joining today's rebellion with me. Remember, it's okay to be a hot mess sometimes. It's all part of the journey. Until next time, stay rebellious, stay authentic, and keep embracing the beautiful messiness of life. Don't forget to join the Hot Mess Rebellion community, where you can connect with other like-minded souls. And anything mentioned in today's episode will be linked in the show notes. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you subscribe, you share with a friend, you leave a review, and you keep coming back for more. This podcast was brought to you by Healing Roots Wellness and Botanicals. For more information, please visit healingrootswab.com.